everyone, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo. I'm just here for sort of a quick little video to introduce you to my new digital kit, my palette Clementine. So this is the second of my palette releases. The first was Palette Rosa, which was a more reds and pinks kind of kit. This is a more orangey kit, and I was really excited to work with orange because I haven't worked with orange a whole lot, and it was really fun to do this in like my super cold studio, because the air conditioning is on in the house and I work out of the basement. It's always very chilly, and orange is such a warm color, so it was kind of like comforting to me. Like, funny enough, it's like 90 degrees outside, but anyways. So Palette Clementine is, of course, a fun like set of more busy collage style journal pages, like your main pages, and then backgrounds. And there's 8 pages and 8 backgrounds. So the first page is this one. We've got some botanicals and tickets and some old scanned documents that actually were orange in color, and an old book spine and stamps and fun palettes on ledger. There are so many layers in these kits. I spent a good amount of time on it, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. This is the first background. It is poppies on like a light gray background, and they're the orange, kind of orangey red poppies. Page 2, this one is these fun kind of retro backgrounds from old advertising, and I've added layers of texture on top. We've added botanicals and some butterflies, and down here it's actually this really cool building, an orange building from an old photograph, and then a little card here with a little orangey red breasted bird. And yeah, I think this one turned out fun. We have some text and some numbers, like lots of little tiny details, like the little star in this window. And then the background is this kind of marbled, swirly marbled, lightened background. I always lighten them so that you can use them for, you know, writing space. That's really a nice thing about backgrounds. And the third page is this one. So this has sort of a little bit of holistic pattern in the background. These are actually my oak leaf prints, and I've changed the color to give them a nice orange tone, and added these birch trees and a bit of a sunlight coming in over here, and these little lamps here, and this lovely swallow. I was really inspired because all this week this week and last week, this was more like last week, I've been doing a lot of swimming in this lovely lake where all of the swallows will they nest in the side of this really big rock, and they were all flying around my head, like it was just kind of like they were on my mind. Then we have the body of a violin down here, and a little botanical ledger, this old bit of advertising over here that's orange and just really pretty, and then more larger botanicals up front. This background is some crackly peeled paint on a rusty surface. Also, it's been lightened, you know, for easy writing. Then we have this page, page 4. So in the background, we are blasted by this beautiful big tree painting with the sun here, lots of almost fall feeling colors, and a little lamp post there. I love those kind of details. Like, some things I just find architecturally attractive, like, you know, window frames and gargoyles and lamp posts. Like, there's just some things that really add a lot of character and charm to outdoor spaces. And then we have these 2 birds here, kind of like 2 ships passing in the night, and some stems with little berries, and we have some fish coming in on top of botanicals as a bit of a surreal, kind of flowy, fun, you know, piece inside of the whole picture. And then some vintage documents and botanicals down here. Background is this one with these oranges and blossoms, orange blossoms. And then page 5 is this. So the backing is this large postcard. You've got the writing here. That's from my collection. And then this is also, you know, from my collection, this little druggist, almost sepia toned little druggist card. Some sunflowers peeking behind it. And then this little bird down here. Some floral, little delicate florals there, and some oranges. Background of the tiger lilies with the orange background, again lightened for writing space. And then this one is from an old French music book that I have, French Canadian, and we have this beautiful orange bird nest, and she's just tending to her babies there, and it says over here l'hirondelle, and then we have some botanicals here and a little snippet of watercolor painted ledger. So you've seen those in my collection before, and I've brought them into this collection. And then another little vintage photo from my collection, as well as a little invoice. And then I've added a couple of round you know, lace and sort of textural pattern to kind of give it a bit of a unique, you know, feel. I think a lot of times we don't include round things in our design, and so I've been trying to challenge myself to do so. And then here we have some flowers and alcohol ink kind of themed throughout this whole background. This background connects to the next background of this page. Obviously these are all separate images in the kit, so you can absolutely use whatever you want, you know, mix your backgrounds and your main pages however you like. Obviously you can cut these up. I think they're very, because of their collage style, they very easily can be cut into tags and things. I'm not doing ephemera kits for the palette collection right now, but that's not to say that I won't in the future. If you have thoughts on that, if you'd like to see ephemera collections to go with the palette collections, let me know. Things like, you know, tags and envelopes and maybe even fussy cuts. Just let me know your thoughts on that if it's an interest to you. This page, we've got a damask orange and purple wallpaper that's quite blended in the background. And then we have these lovely birds on top. They're orioles. And then we have these monarchs in the middle. I thought that would be really pretty if you were folding the page this way, or if you were using it as a center page, right? I think either way, it just adds some really nice orange. And then we have this game score at the back with more tiger lilies up front and an alcohol ink background. And then the last page is this one. So in the background, we've got, this is more of my rusty carbonized leaves. These are Japanese maple leaves, and I've changed the tone a little bit to make it a little more orange. Mind you, not a lot of editing had to happen because the rusty mixture that I use on the paper was already quite orange, especially over here. There was some really nice staining. And then I've added on top some old brown paper that was folded as a bit of a way to calm the bottom of this down, where I wanted to make it a little busier with, you know, things. So I started by adding this fairy kind of woman here. She's so beautiful. And then I added a little, this little bit of ledger back here with the numbers, and then we started with the butterflies and moths, and then added in some more botanicals, another little document that I scanned that's got some writing going both ways, and then some of the little Chinese lanterns. And this background is a fun kind of bubbly background that I just thought was a really nice add to the whole background collection. I was trying to do a few different types of things, right? But they still needed to be holistic. So that is Palette Clementine, and I hope you will check it out and you like it. It is posted on Etsy. It's also available to my digital subscribers on Patreon. If you're interested, I do link below both my Etsy and my Patreon. This is what's typical of me with my digital kits. This is my kind of collage style. Lots of layering. I do a lot of playing with photos and all sorts of vintage things, and then layering in like nature elements, because that's where I get a lot of my inspiration from. So thank you so much for hanging out with me while I showed you these papers. I do have kind of a really lovely book that I think I'm probably going to be using them in. This is a nice old book called Margaret Plays the Game by Winifred Darch, and it's got a really cool spine. I'm not even sure if you can see it, but you can see like a girl's body here, and she's reading a newspaper, so it's like right in front of her face. And then the front, it's also heavily embossed, and I think I'm going to do some modification to it, but this is an old book. It is from like 1911, I think. We have a date here somewhere. I thought we did. I could be remembering it wrong. Maybe I am remembering it wrong. I thought I saw a 1911. Oh no, sorry, 1933. But yeah, that I think is going to pair lovely with that to make us a nice orangey book. So thank you again for hanging out with me, and I'll talk to you all real soon. Check out the links down below if you're interested in this paper collection. Bye for now.